Good morning, everyone. My name is Pyun. I'm the Chief Legal Officer for Altura Credit Union. I'm just going to make some really short remarks. My employer has been in Riverside since 1957, and so I'm really excited that Altura is able to support this conference. And just the couple of remarks that I'd like to make are about allyship. And I know Professor Chang through a group called the Council of Korean Americans, and it's a group of Korean American leaders in academia, in the business, legal, and medical communities. And last weekend, some of our friends hosted an event for Congressman Andy Kim, who was visiting LA. So this is really not about political affiliation, but one of the things that he talked about was the fact that Andy Kim, who is representing the 3rd District in New Jersey, Congressional District, he is now going to become a senator in about 50 days. And it has taken the Korean American community 120 years since we first established a presence in our own community here in the United States for a Korean American to do that. And so whether you're Republican or Democrat, it's really something to celebrate. And so my wife, she's pregnant with our first child. And sometimes, and so Younglee and I, we talk about what kind of experience and what kind of an education and upbringing that our son is going to have. And I think it's really thanks to events like this that are really teaching the next generation about what it means to be a Korean American. And so when you talk about where you want to go from here, I think it involves really focusing on where we've come from. And so many thanks to Professor Chang and the Kyungho Kim Center and everyone who's involved in this event. Thank you.
I don't think I need microphone because I'll use, can you all hear me? I'll use my principal's voice. Can you all hear me? Good morning, first of all. My name is Suzie O. Dr. Edward T. Chang, he doesn't need any introduction. However, if I may briefly highlight some of his achievements. Dr. Edward Chang is a professor of ethnic studies and the founding director, I gotta say this right, founding director of the Kyungho Kim Center for Korean Americans here at the University of California at Riverside. It's a mouthful. Did I say it right? Okay. And he's a prolific researcher. He has published 12 books and many articles. His latest book is Pachapa Camp, the first Koreatown in the United States. It won the grand prize from the Association for Studies of Koreans Abroad. It's also featured in the LA Times, New York Times, NBC News, and the PBS NewsHour. He's been a voice for our Korean American community for more than 30 years. I've known him more than 30 years. Of course, you know he's also the leading expert on LA civil unrest. The CNN had a special report titled "The Fire Still Burns," 30 years after LA riots. Of course, he appeared in that. He continues his efforts to motivate the mainstream media to portray race relations in the United States as an issue that's larger and more complex than simply black and white. Without any further ado, here is Dr. Edward Tae-han Chang.
Thank you, Suzie, for kind introduction. And since I will be giving a talk, maybe 35 minutes, and give floor to Ms. Sung Kim, who will be talking about a textbook that she's working on. Today, I would like to welcome again everyone to historic Riverside, also known as the Dosan's Republic, the first Korean community, Korean settlement in entire United States. In fact, we did not know about Riverside Pachapa camp until 2016 or 2017 that I accidentally discovered. So I will be talking about it. And I also would like to thank the third annual Korean American Studies Conference committee members, co-chair Dr. Suzie and many others who have worked tirelessly over the last year, since the second conference at Long Beach. And we will be looking forward everyone to attend fourth conference next year somewhere in LA or maybe in Philadelphia. We don't know yet. Seattle maybe, yeah. Anyway, now it's good that we are competing for the conference. Dosan's Republic. Of course, Dosan is pen name for Kyungho. And I really did not know why people at Pachapa camp called it Dosan's Republic. I mean, I didn't know why they did that. But now I know. And I know why they called it Dosan's Republic. And I strongly believe, we should change not only Korean American history, but modern Korean history as well. Because I believe the democratic republicanism of Republic of Korea began here at Riverside in 1911, which no one knew. So let me just give, again, I always emphasize importance of history, historical consciousness, particularly to those young students. Unless people know their history, their identity is anchorless. And that's, in other words, if you don't know your own history, that is Korean American history, growing up as a Korean American, you are trying to build 100-story building on a sandy ground. You cannot do that. You need to build strong foundation. And historical consciousness is a strong foundation of being what it means to be Korean American. Korean immigration, of course, can be divided into 4 different stages. Those who came prior to 1903. And of course, 1903, January 13, 102 Korean laborers from Incheon, Jemuilpo landed in Honolulu, Hawaii on January 13, 1903. Therefore, we are always celebrate Korean American Day, January 13, right? And we should be very proud of the Korean American Day. And before 1903, approximately 250 Korean diplomats, students, and majority were ginseng merchants. Ginseng merchants who sold Koryo Insam, Korean ginseng, to mostly Chinese. Because in China, Korean ginseng is known for, and more than 200 Korean ginseng merchants landed and arrived Hawaii as well as San Francisco. So they compose majority of early Korean immigrants. However, majority of Korean immigrants came to the United States between 1903 and 1905. 7,226 Korean workers, laborers, women and children, few in number, mostly young single men, as well as picture brides. Those women, ladies, who through exchange of photographs decided to come as a picture brides to the United States, Honolulu, Hawaii, or San Francisco, Los Angeles later on. The number approximately 800 to 1,000. And they serve as a foundation and backbone of early Korean immigrant communities. Very few, some political exiles also arrived, as well as the students. So 1903, 1924, Immigration Act forbid Asian immigration altogether. Since 1924, Asians cannot enter the United States. Obviously was a racist immigration law, right? That's the reason why Korean American population or Asian American population is still very small compared to other groups. And Korean immigration resumes with outbreak of Korean War in 1950. And of course, Korean women who married American servicemen, war brides, orphans, and the students, and others came about 20,000 of them between 1950 and 1964. Finally, 1965 Immigration Act opened the floodgate, opened the door for Korean immigration as well as other from Asia and Latin American countries. The majority of Korean American population came after 1970s. As of 1970, Korean American population was only 70,000. 10 years later, increased to 354,000. 1990, it jumped to 798,000. By 2000, 1.1 million. 2010, approximately 1.4 million. Now, today, 2020, 2024, more than 2 million. So can you imagine Korean American population increasing, exploding from 70,000 in 1970 to more than 2 million in 2020? As that's rough sum. But today I'll be mainly focusing on 1903 to 1920, and this is downtown Riverside. This statue of Dosanan Changho was erected in 2001. 2001. Why? Because Gangnam district in Seoul and Riverside is a sister city. Did you know that?
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's the reason why we have this statue. It's before, so Gangnam became very famous worldwide because of Gangnam style. But at the time, they used K as a Gangnam, but today they use G-A-N-G, Gangnam, but it's the same. So Riverside is a sister city of Riverside and the Gangnam, that is. And the mayor of Gangnam came to Riverside around 1999, and he was a former member of Hungsadan, Young Korean Academy. And when he found out that An Chang-ho came to Riverside in early 1904 and worked on citrus industry, he was shocked. And so since there is a Dosan Memorial Park in Gangnam, we decided to push for statue. At the time, 2001, we did not know about Pachapa Camp. In fact, no one knew. No one knew. And I decided to look into this because, I don't know why there is no. Anyway, I will show you the map. In 1999, undergrad student discovered a downtown map. Here it is. This is the map produced by Sanborn Insurance Company of New York in 1908. And it shows small print, it says Korean settlement. And Dosan An Chang-ho is one of the most important historical figure in modern Korean history, and there are numerous books and articles written about him, but none of it mention anything about Korean settlement in Riverside, of all places. It's mostly about either San Francisco or Los Angeles or Hawaii. None of them mention anything about Riverside. And this map was discovered in 1999. I knew about the map, but as I said before, as Dr. Suzie mentioned, my specialty has been LA civil unrest and race relations. That's been my most major project. But I decided in 2016 find needles in a haystack. And it was one of my most gratifying research projects in my 33 years of academic career. And Chang arrived in San Francisco December 7, 1902, with his wife, Harriet Lee. So they are the first couple to arrive in mainland United States in 1902. And he returned back to Korea from 1907 to 1911 and returned to Riverside in 1911. 1909, he established the Korean National Association and Young Korean Academy in 1913. And I will skip those. Pachapa Camp. He arrived in Riverside March 23rd, 1904. And right after that, he established a 공립협회, meaning cooperative association, and as well as a Korean Labor Bureau with employment services. At the time, the labor contracting was monopolized by mostly Japanese immigrants, and they wouldn't give employment services to Korean workers. So Chang saw the need to establish employment services with Korean Labor Bureau, and because of that, Korean immigrants began to arrive to Riverside in large numbers. Initially, we thought the number of Korean residents at Riverside was somewhere around 60 to 70, but I discovered at the peak more than 300. That's significant because as of 1910, less than 800 Korean workers, immigrants were residing mainland United States. Less than 800. Of that, 300 were living in Pachapa Camp. And one of the most important fact about Pachapa Camp is 1905, he experimented with democracy. 공립협회 was based on Republican ideals. They elected representatives. They appointed 감찰, meaning prosecutors. They also had self-determination. In 1905, Korea was a kingdom ruled by King Gojong. But here in Riverside, they were experimenting with democracy, democratic ideal. I mean, this is remarkable. And Chang devised what I call Hawaii, San Francisco, and Riverside plan. Majority of Korean immigrants landed in Honolulu, and some of them decided to come to San Francisco for the better work, higher wages, and better working conditions. And Chang decided those who arrived with family, they were sent to Riverside. Those who arrived as a single man, they were placed in labor camps in Sacramento or Colorado, Idaho, different places to find work. That's the reason why Pachapa Camp was family-based community, which is remarkable because at the time, early 20th century, Chinatown, Manila town, was known as a bachelor society. It was a 99% young single men with very few women. But Pachapa Camp was a family, women and children as side by side with their husband and father. Family-based. Family-based and democratic society in Riverside was established as of 1905, which is remarkable. And I'm not going to go into methodology. I found a lot of materials, particularly from Shinanminbo, New Korea newspaper, old newspaper. as well as a Violet Catherine Kim collection, which she donated to UCL Special Collection Library before she passed away. And I uncovered the address has changed from 1532 Pachapa Avenue to today 3096 Cottage Street. And as I began my research project, I am one of the luckiest researcher, I feel, because I was very fortunate. And out of blue, in 2017, 2 graduate students from Korea University came to our center as interns. And their major was Korean literature. And Korean literature students has no business interning at our center because our center is mostly social science oriented and history related. But somehow they came to me and they began translating Shinhan Minbo article. It's written in Old Korean. And although I can barely read Old Korean, I couldn't comprehend what it meant. But their major was to translate from Old Korean to modern Korean. Can you believe this? So they translated all this Old Korean to New Korean, modern Korean. I was enlightened because of a translation. Now I know. And I was able to put it all together and call it Pachapa Camp, Dosansu Republic. Based on my research, Culver Center at UCR, we had a very successful exhibition. It's a small exhibition. I ran from October 16, 2021. Initially, it was going to end of the year, 2021, but became very successful. So they extended 1 month, and then they extended another month. So it went until end of February and received national, international media coverage, including New York Times, LA Times, NBC News, PBS NewsHour, NPR, JTBC, SBS, and Press Enterprise. Now, it's a national tour right now. I received $850,000 from Mellon Foundation to do national tour. Right now it's at San Francisco. Tour is running until next week, September 28th. And then it'll move to Virginia, Washington, D.C. from October 19 through November 29. And New Jersey from January 18 to February 15. And Chicago, we are going to postpone until June 7, 1 week later, June 8th or June 7th, until early July. And it returned to Riverside on August 3rd, 2025 until November 23rd, 2025. So you'll have another opportunity chance to take a look at Pachapa Camp exhibition. This is a photograph of Hedion Lee with his eldest son, Philip An, taken 1907. Philip An, actor, one of the first Asian American actor to receive star, a Walk of Fame. And if you go to Walk of Fame, Hollywood Boulevard, north side of 6200 block of Hollywood, then you'll see his star. He's the eldest son of An Chang-ho. And this is another very famous photograph of An Chang-ho picking oranges here at Riverside. That's more than 25 pounds, full set. This is another photograph taken in 1911. A delegate of Korean National Association came to Riverside to work on third convention here at Riverside. And this is a different angle. An Chang-ho being a photographer. He's the one who's taking photo of a delegate. Same. It's a very rare photograph. And in the middle is a gauge canal. Gauge canal, because of the water, the citrus industry thrived here in Riverside. Because in LA was a desert, but here in Riverside we have a Big Bear Mountain and snows a lot, and during the summer it melts down and through Santa Ana River until all the way to Newport Beach. They were able to establish a gauge canal, and citrus industry thrived. So, how can you claim that Pachapa Camp is the first Koreatown in the United States? Unlike other places, it was family-based, and Dosan's Republic, Dosan's leadership, rules and regulation, and formed community. Korean Labor Bureau was established somewhere in 1904, 1905. Made several independence organizations, 국립협회, 신민회, New Korea Society, and Korean National Association, Young Korean Academy, and it was a fully functioning community with weddings, birthday parties, Korean missions, and Korean school, 학교, was also functioning at Riverside. Of course, Hamet Valley incident in 1913 is not well known in Korea, but this is a very important historical event involving 11 Korean workers from Pachapa Camp were hired by apricot farmer in Hamet Valley. When they arrived at the Hamet station, there were more than 200 white laborers, demanding, Japanese go home or Asians go home, anti-Asian, hate crimes. So they were forced to return to Riverside, Pachapa Camp. Somehow, Japanese consulate found out about this. They said, Koreans in the United States are Japanese subjects. Therefore, we have a right to represent on behalf of Korean workers. And they formally protested to the United States government in Washington. So it became diplomatic dispute between US and Japan. A small incident in Hamet Valley. That's when President David Lee, he's also Reverend David Lee of San Francisco, president of Korean National Association, he sent a telegram to Secretary of the State William Jennings Bryan saying, we are not Japanese subjects, we are Korean, please recognize as a Korean. In order to resolve diplomatic dispute between US and Japan, Secretary of the State William Jennings Bryan declared Koreans in the United States are not Japanese subjects, but they are Korean. And Koreans in the United States are represented by Korean National Association. This is a huge event, and most Koreans don't know about this. It happened here in Riverside. Like I said before, population number about more than 300. And this is the article that I found in Shinanminbo. That's how it's written. And those of you able to read Korean, I don't think you will understand what he's saying. There is no, it's 띄어쓰기, no 띄어쓰기. And you can see Riverside, you can see it, but I cannot really comprehend. But fortunately, two graduate students, they translated. So Riverside is the first Koreatown in the United States. It confirmed my argument. First Korean National Association chapter was established in Riverside. It's a historic, again. It confirmed. When I saw this article, I say, hallelujah. I was so delighted. And Isaac Emerson Charles, who wrote his autobiography called Golden Mountain, published by the University of Illinois Press, 1961, said, soon becomes the first largest Korean settlement in America, at least during the orange season of each year for a number of years. Subsequently, smaller Korean communities of camps sprung up nearby Redlands, Upland, Claremont, which were offsprings of the main settlement, who is Riverside. Can you believe that? I mean, he wrote it in his autobiography. And this is another photograph taken, I believe, somewhere around 1910, 1911 or 12. Changho with a multiracial labor force here in Riverside. And this is another San Francisco Chronicle newspaper full-page interview of Changho and his wife in 1902. I mean, I accidentally discovered this newspaper article again. I mean, I was so surprised. It's a full page. You notice Korea is a C, not K. He said An Chang-ho and his wife came to the United States for education. That's what he said, as well as Christianity. And since he was organizing different places around the country, as well as Mexico, Manchuria, around the world, he often wrote postcard to his wife in 1532 Pachapa Avenue. This is a photograph, 1911, Third Korean National Association of North America Convention, and the delegates took a photograph. And he says, Korean National Association was established by the constitutional republicanism. Can you believe that in 1911? Congress of Korean National Association shall administer regional conference under administrative supervision. Congress of the Korean National Association shall legislate self-regulation of the regional conference, pass temporary resolutions, elect officers, set budget, and other authority. Will meet once a year, decide many issues based on regulation, and execute accordingly. Can you imagine this was passed in 1911 here in Riverside? Constitutional Republican Democratic governance began here in Riverside in 1911. This is, I think, is one of the most remarkable discovery I made, I think. Because today, Korean historians, in Shanghai, in 1919, Shanghai Korean Provisional Government declared democratic republicanism as a new form of government. Korean historians today don't know where it came from. Nobody knows where modern democratic republicanism came from. Remember, Korea was a kingdom until 1910, and only 9 years later in Shanghai, they declared a democratic republicanism. I believe because of the success here in Pachapa camp, and An Chang-ho is the leader of Pachapa camp, is also leader of Korean Provisional Government in Shanghai. And no one knew about this. So I believe modern democratic republicanism began here in Riverside. And An Chang-ho was an enlightened man. And he believed in equality for women. Do you know when women in the United States gained suffrage, voting rights? 1920. 2 years earlier, in 1918, An Chang-ho and Korean National Association declared that women can be admitted as a full member of Korean National Association with full responsibility and rights. In 1918. And in Riverside, women of Riverside also actively participated in decision-making process. Women of Riverside chapter of Korean National Association who decided to perform duty equal to men. Equal to men. Woon Kyung-lee's wife, at the time 60 years old, by the way, she's buried, no, not, her wife is not buried there. Anyway, as working at the hospital, decided to donate for our society and country. We praise her dedication and boycott Japanese soy sauce. Women led this. So if you look at the Pachapa Camp Cooperative Association, 국립협회 was established in 1905. And Shinminhwae is a secret independence organization in Korea. Before he departed for Korea, An Chang-ho initiated Shinminhwae here Riverside in 1906. Korean National Association was established in 1909, and the first chapter was established in Riverside. Korean National Association of North America Convention was held in 1911 here in Riverside, and established a Central Council in 1912. Central Council they called it intangible government, representing entire overseas Korean community. In 1911, they declared, Korean National Association represents government, executive body. In Korea, they believe the document discovered in 1917, known as the Daejeon Declaration of Solidarity. By the way, this document was discovered from Dosan An Chang-ho's document. He's the one who had this, and he laid the foundation for democratic republicanism. But I'm arguing even 6 years earlier in 1911, everything was laid out. And 1911 convention, they passed 21 article of governance here at Riverside Pachapa Camp. And therefore, in 1919, Korean government, provisional government of Shanghai, declared democratic republicanism. But Korean historians are not buying this. They are very, very, what I said, they're cliquish. They have a school of thought, one school of thought. Anything that deviates from that, they attack. I don't have any lineage in Korean scholarship. Since I'm educated here in the United States, I don't belong anywhere in Korean historian societies. So, it'll be a while before they will accept this, my argument. Republic of Korea, established 1948. In Riverside, the Korean mission, I also accidentally discovered this document. It's an annual report of the Board of Home Missions of a Presbyterian Church in the United States. And it says, Riverside are the happy group of Christians, somewhat distinguished from the other stations by the number of young wives and their children. They also confirm there's a family-based community. And I also uncovered original documents at Calvary Korean Presbyterian Church, the Korean membership. So I'm running late, so I'm going to wrap it up. Dosan An Chang-ho, nationalist independence movement activism was production and reproduction of the success of a Pachapa Camp model community, according to Seung-won Choi, who wrote her PhD dissertation in 2020. And the Kyungho Kim Center is proud to present this, and if you have any questions, please contact us. And I'm going to pass the mic to Ms. Sung Kim, the president of IKEN. Thank you so much.
morning, everyone. I am Sung Kim, and today my presentation topic is incorporating Korean ethnic studies into the Korean language curriculum. California passed a law in 2021 requiring ethnic studies to be taught in high schools. Starting in 2025, students must take ethnic studies from the 9th grade, and those graduating in 2029 will need to complete the course. The ethnic studies model curriculum was adopted by the California State Board of Education in 2021 and published by the California Department of Education in 2022. The Korean Ethnic Studies Committee submitted 7 Korean ethnic studies lesson plans in 2020, and the lesson on the LA civil unrest was included as sample lesson number 21, while the remaining 6 lessons are listed as ethnic studies digital lessons on the California Department of Education website. They include 도산 안창호 and Colonel Young Kim, and the Korean American Unity to Independence, and the Korean Independence Movement in the US, and Dr. Sammy Lee, and Korean popular culture in the US. So the International Korean Educators Network, IKEN, has been working on developing Korean language textbooks, including Korean ethnic studies components, and aims to distribute Global Korean Level 1 to 4 by early 2025. Okay. So where is my screen? Yes. How come it's not moving? All right, so I explained about model curriculum and sample lesson number 21. It's about LA civil unrest, written by Dr. Edward Chang, and the other 6 lessons are included in the CDE website. And this is Global Korean, developing by IKEN. Now, the first unit is LA 폭동, LA civil unrest, 4.29. So LA civil unrest unit is based on the non-fiction genre that explains the events from April 29 to May 4th, 1992 in the chronological timeline. Through new vocabulary, dialogue, and the reading comprehension questions, and thematic discussions, students understand the urgency and tension during the riots. After watching the Saigu video, students will summarize the situations using the 5W 1H method: who, what, when, where, why, and how, and organize their findings in the graphic organizers. And meanwhile, they can thoroughly practice vocabulary and text through Quizlet, which provides audio support and practice activities and tests and games. And Korean grammar elements included in the text are organized in the practice through Quizlet. Ample exercises are provided the support interpretive, interpersonal, and presentational communication practice. Students will explore eyewitness interview activities, historical figures who played game-changing roles, and the role of media during the LA riots. Okay, and in this unit, students will read newspaper articles and discuss new vocabulary and comprehension questions, followed by presentation. They will review key grammar points and engage in the conversation practice with a partner and work on speech writing activities. Okay. Lastly, through project-based learning activity, students will explore the causes and consequences of the LA civil unrest, and they will organize findings using graphic organizers and present them using the technology tools such as Google Slide, PowerPoint presentation, or video productions. According to the January, in this unit, students will explore and present the Korean female leaders who have significantly impact the Korean communities in various fields. They will research these women's achievements in their respective areas and present their findings. So this is for Korean female leaders in various fields. So in political figures and education and other areas. And next, the students will, the next unit is about Busan Anchangho, that the first Korea and the first Koreatown Pochepa camp. 최초의 한인타운 Pochepa camp. Busan Anchangho is one of the most familiar names to Korean Americans because he lived among Korean immigrants in the US. So through reading comprehension, exercises and quizzes about Changho's life and achievements, students can acquire not only contents but also Korean language skills. So it's about quizzes. All right. And students will research the immigration background and the lives of picture brides, a crucial part of early Korean immigrants' history, and explore how their descendants contributed to both the Korean immigrant community and mainstream American society. Herbert Choi, Chae-young-jo, and Ronald Moon Tae-young will be examined in this unit. Ronald Moon, Herbert Choi, Chae-young-jo was the first Asian federal judge during the Nixon administration. And Herbert Choi, Ronald Moon Tae-young, former Hawaii Supreme Court Chief Justice, was the first Korean American to hold this position and contributed to reforms in the US judicial systems. Through research project-based learning activity, students will research and present on the history of Korean immigration, the lives of early immigrants, and the contribution of their descendants. And in this unit, students will explore the life of Dr. Philip J. Son, Suzie, and his passion and dedication to Korean independence. Through a project-based learning activity, students will compare and contrast, analyze the lives of Nelson Mandela, who dedicated his life to the independence of South Africa, and Dr. Suzie, and present their findings. And next, the Korean independence movement will be explored in this unit through the Korean drama activity, Mr. Sunshine. The drama is set between the late 19th century and early 20th century. It depicts the diplomatic relations between Joseon, Korea's old name, Joseon, and the United States. The Korean resistance against Japan's annexation of Joseon, and how Eugene Choi, Chae-Eugene, a Korean-born American citizen, contributed to Korean independence movement. Okay. So next unit is about Sammy Lee. Dr. Sammy Lee was the first Asian American to win a gold medal in platform diving at the 1948 and 1952 London and Helsinki Olympic. As an ENT specialist, he served as a U.S. Army doctor and personally coached Korean athletes. Okay, and I will pass this. Sammy Lee, and students will study using dialogue and reading comprehension and Quizlet. And next, okay, the section of Interstate 5, the Freeway 5, which runs through both Southern and Northern California, has been named the Colonel Young-ho Kim Freeway in honor of late Colonel Kim Young-ho. And students will explore his life and legacy through many different activities. And next, K-pop lyrics and shijo. So students will explore the historic background and structure of shijo, and they will learn shijo is the traditional Korean poetic form, and practice composing shijo and then compare and contrast with K-pop lyrics. So while shijo and K-pop lyrics differ in forms and historical context, they share a focus on emotional expression and thematic diversity and use of metaphoric language. Both forms offer insight into Korean culture, past and present, while captivating audiences with their artistry and depth. Okay, thank you for listening.
What a robust morning. So we're going to take about a 10-minute break, and we're going to come back in here for the plenary session. And so please go back to 113, grab some coffee, eat. Restrooms are straight down to the right from 113, and we'll see you back here at 10:45.